Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Erin and I do mostly budgeting videos like the one you are about to see here. Who have been with me for a while, you know that this notebook is a little bit different. This is one I just simply pulled out of my stash. I think I got this at Hobby Lobby a while back and I just never used it. But I do think it's a nice notebook. It has a nice craft cover. It is a hardback. So I decided to write out this paycheck in a more visual representation of the money rather than the spreadsheets that I'm used to doing. Nothing wrong with the spreadsheets. I love them. They definitely are effective and they served our budget purposes well. But I don't know, for me, I'm a more visual person and I just felt like being a little bit more creative, I guess, with this layout. And not that this is anything majorly creative, but I kind of like the way it has the header and then this week's paycheck is pointing to the different categories that it needs to fund. So I don't know, I kind of like that. But before I get into how we're spending this week's money and where everything is going, I just wanted to address a couple of comments that I received on my last video that talked about how we are throwing our money away on leasing vehicles. I know that a lot of people think that. I know that there's a lot of people out there who think if you rent your home that you're throwing money away. I just think that everybody does things for different reasons. So the past couple of times we've been posed with getting new cars, we haven't had the money for a down payment on a new car. And without a down payment, those monthly payments to purchase a car within 5 to 6 years were just way too much for us. So that was the reasoning behind it. We are coming out of a long-term debt repayment. I had a lot of credit card debt to pay off, and it took all of our extra money to do that. And so saving up for a car wasn't always number one priority for us. Leasing was an option, and it was an option that we like. We don't feel we're being, wasteful or throwing money away. At the end of a lease term, you always have the option to purchase the car if you want it. Personally, I have never wanted to purchase the car when that lease term was ended, but other people do. So there are a lot of reasons behind why people rent, why people lease, why people do the things that they do. And I think that everybody should just do what works best for them. I don't necessarily think that I can cast judgment on somebody else and tell them how they're throwing their money away, but that's just me. So I'm going to get into this paycheck, and this was for May 8th, 2020. The paycheck amount was $15.14, and these are the funds in different ways that I want to allocate that amount. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was our bills/emergency fund. This is something very new. What we did last month, or right before this month, we used our stimulus money, which was $1,200. We put it with the excess money that we had from April's paychecks, and we added some of our savings, and we were able to pay all of our May bills ahead of time. So what I want to do moving forward, if everything falls into place and we can keep it going like that, is I would like to pay all of our bills on the first of every month. So right now, we do have a bit of an emergency fund building, and I am also going to continue to add to that. So what's going to come out of this is any type of emergency, and the only emergency I can see is if we both get laid off, which I may get laid off. There's talk of that. We will be paying our bills out of this. So when I say this is an emergency fund, I don't necessarily mean that this is something that we would buy a new refrigerator out of should our refrigerator die. I just mean this is how we would pay our month-to-month bills. So that's why it's bills/emergency. Down here in the middle is our variable expense category. And then over here is our sinking funds. So that is where I would put something like our refrigerator died, we have to buy a new one, or I don't know, we need to replace a tire on one of the cars, or, anything that falls under saving towards something or building a little nest egg for it. So our sinking funds include things like Christmas, household, medical, dogs, and so on and so forth. So that is what I mean by that. So first things first, we are going to put $1,000 into our bills and emergency fund. So that is going to go toward paying June's bills. And like I said, I'm so excited about this because I just welcome the opportunity to pay all of our bills at once and then not have to worry about it for the rest of the month. I mean, I'll still do check-ins and things like that, and I'll still have to allocate a couple times a month according to paydays, but I won't have to necessarily go into, you know, all my different accounts online and physically pay these bills. So for our variable expenses, we have just a few categories, and I'm happy to say that the one thing about quarantine is we've been spending a lot less money, a lot less frivolous money. So right now where I live, gas is $1.39 a gallon. And if you have other things like our Giant Eagle has fuel perks and things like that, you can get it even cheaper. So I think that that is super exciting. But for all of our cash envelopes / variable expenses, this 2 weeks, this pay is going to add up to only $204. So there's just 3 categories in that, and I'll go into stuffing that or organizing that in a separate video. Or maybe I'll just do it down here. I don't know, we'll see. So for our sinking funds, we have $1,514, which is our pay, minus $1,000, minus $204 is $310. So that's quite a bit of money, I think, to add to our sinking funds. So another part of our sinking funds is a category for like gifts and birthdays and things like that. So for Mother's Day, our gifts for our moms will come out of that. So that's kind of like how we're organizing things, I guess. So if we go down and just make some I guess little, not subcategories, but more of an in-depth category. Our bills and emergency fund don't really need to be dived into any deeper because that's just what it is. But for our variable expenses, and I'm trying to write as neatly as possible because I don't always write so well. So for our variable expenses, we have $204, which I'm just going to write like this. Again, I'm just changing pens and doing things like this just to keep it all visual for myself. So we are going to have food and groceries, basically. And our dog food. And gas. So lately, my husband has been driving my car when he goes out. We've just been using my car for mostly everything. And that's been working out because my car gets better gas mileage. And I've been working from home and I don't really have anywhere to go except I go over my mom sometimes. So I'm not driving all over the place by any means. So for food and groceries, it's going to be $100. And for dog food, wait, is that correct? Why do I think my variable expenses are $204? That's what I get for like writing things down the way I do. Oh, I forgot a category. I forgot a category, guys. That's why. All right, Discover. I have a Discover balance to pay off. Now, I purchased something on Amazon and I use my Discover to do that. So that's why. At first I was like, this doesn't add up. All right, so this is $25. And then gas, we're just going to leave at $25. And then Discover is $54. All right, so if we add that up, let's see. 100 plus 25 plus 25 plus 54 is 204. All right, so that is the breakdown. So what I will do is, actually, I'm not going to get this out in cash envelope form right now because for all of these categories, I'm going to be paying just strictly from our bank accounts. And so this will be like an electronic quote unquote cash envelope system because I have kind of stuffed these categories, and this is how we'll allocate the money. So that is going to be it for our variable expenses this week. So pretty easy, nothing major. And I like weeks like that when there's, you know, nothing major to think about. It just, I don't know, that makes me feel better because then that means there's no like unforeseen or emergency expenses happening. So for our sinking funds, I am going to leave that to a separate video because I think that it deserves an entire separate video because I categorize a lot more than I do for these little categories here. So that's going to be $310, which is a respectable amount, I think, for what's going on, and given that my husband is laid off and he still hasn't received his unemployment or anything like that. So I think to have anything extra right now is just awesome, and I'm pretty happy about it. So you may be wondering, and it's a question that I would ask if I was watching this video. Since the monthly bills are, I think our monthly bills are like $2,600 or something like that. I just did the video yesterday about that. And I'm saving $1,000 from paycheck number 1, and I'll save another $1,000 from paycheck number 2. How are we going to cover those bills? Well, there's still some padding in here. And so while I haven't released the exact total that I have in here, I do have enough to cover June's bills if I put $1,000 in from this pay and $1,000 in from 2 weeks from now. So we're going to be covered. There's plenty in here to cover the bills. Moving forward, I do want to put extra into this because, you know, that extra padding that's already in here will only last so long. So I want to start building this up. And the only way I can do that is when my husband starts getting paid again. So right now it's kind of like bare bones, and I'm just doing the minimum that is necessary for all of this to work and for our budget to keep, you know, running along smoothly. But after that and toward, you know, the future, yeah, we are definitely going to have to start adding a lot more than this, especially, I mean, I would think that once he goes back to work, you know, since we are able to just skid by on my income, hopefully we can use 90% or, you know, up to 90% of his income for emergency funds, sinking funds, and savings. So that's the goal out of this. And I think that, you know, like I said, if anything good can come out of, you know, these situations and things like that right now, it does kind of force some people, it forces me to become a little bit more creative and, you know, tighten up the strings and everything and just make sure that, you know, even on a limited income for however long that lasts, that we can still make ends meet and get by and still be okay. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this new layout. I enjoyed doing it. I think I'm going to stick with this for a while because I really, really like the way it looks. It looks very organized to me. I like seeing all the categories, you know, just in one place. And when I do my sinking funds, I will do a separate video on that, and I will actually be stuffing cash into those. So another person did ask me, I feel like I should address that before I wrap up the video. They kind of said that, you know, it's kind of cringy to see somebody with a lot of cash on hand in the home. And I agree. You know, it could be a volatile situation depending on, I don't know, your life. But I do have a waterproof, fireproof mini safe, and I do have that linked in the description. So if you're interested in something like that, it is super inexpensive. I think it's less than $25, and it is heavy. You can fit quite a few things in there. So we keep a lot of stuff in there, like birth certificates, passports, things that, you know, like if there was any type of emergency, those things would still be protected. So all the information for that particular safe, once you click on it, you can read about it in Amazon and see up to what temperature and, you know, how long in the water and things like that, that it will actually protect anything that you have inside. So we do practice that system and have that saved. So I feel pretty good about that. But anyway, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. I appreciate all your comments, whether or not, you know, you agree with the way I budget or exactly how I do everything. I still appreciate your comments. I like feedback. I just feel sometimes that I need to also answer to that and let you guys know what the rhyme and reason is behind some of the decisions that I make for our household budget. So I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you're staying safe, and I hope I see you in my next video. Take care.